So the way we work is that we bring on board vendors. We also connect them to the customers. And we in the middle make sure we get this item from the vendor and deliver it to the customer. When we deliver to the customer, we have two models. You can either say, deliver it to me at my doorstep right here on 4th floor at Africa Talks, or you could say, drop it at a pickup station near me, and at my convenience, I will pick it up. Okay? So, when it comes to fulfillment being the side of how we get the items that we sell to you, you will notice that Jumia has some items that are flagged Jumia Express. Anything that's flagged Jumia Express is something that we have with us in our warehouse. So when you order it, somebody will walk into the warehouse, pick it up, and we start the process to ship it to the final customer. The other items that are not in the warehouse will either come from the local market here in Uganda or global, what we call Jumia Global. So you've also seen some items flagged as Jumia Global with a longer delivery period. Today, those items will come in from Dubai or China. The ones that are here in the local market, what will happen is when the order comes in, the vendor will see it in their app, pick it up, and drop it off at our vendor drop-off. Currently, we have two. One is at New Master Plaza, which is also an experience center for us as Jumia. And the other one is at our warehouse in Ntinda. And once they give it to us, we'll go through the same process of receiving it, sorting it, and making sure it reaches the final customer. So, I hope that process is clear. Challenges. Being a marketplace, operating in two different models, when it comes to sourcing vendors, convincing people, getting people to understand the tech, understand how we operate, it's a bit of continuous education, both for our customers, for our partners that we work with, for our vendors that we work with, it's continuous. When it comes to the logistics challenges, anybody who has tried to navigate Kampala's portals can tell you that we don't have the best transport network. And today, as Jumia, we have a network of over 80 stations around Uganda. So we will deliver as far as Gulu, I don't know which is the farthest, Kitgum, Kisoro. Yes, we get to Kisoro. We get to DRC, not in Uganda. But Kisoro is pretty close. And Mbondwe is pretty close to DRC. Yes. So I get to Mbondwe, we get to Kisoro, we get to East. We are going all the way to Soroti, Kumi. So we are reaching some of the really remote areas. And for us, it becomes a challenge if we don't have enough volumes to get there. So we're always innovating on how we get there faster and at an affordable rate. Today, I ordered a cooker for somebody, delivering to Munyonyo, and our door delivery fee is 14,000. Even Safeboda wouldn't charge us 14,000, right? So for us to get there, it's always a challenge for us to deliver in time with the network we have and at an amazing price.
So I'll start from where Sheila stopped. Safeboda is also a marketplace, similar to Jumia. The difference is we transport people, and rather than manage merchants or providers of products, we have riders and car drivers. For us, we fall in the category of on-demand services. So you can't say, okay, deliver the package here, I'll pick it up someday. When you get a Safeboda request, the customer wants it and wants it now. If you do not serve them in the next 3 to 5 minutes, they've cancelled that order. So the difference is the nature of people and the products and possibly the timeline within which you need to provide the service. Our challenges then become a bit more different or difficult. She has said potholes, we face potholes. But for us, it's pricing. She mentioned something very critical. They can deliver to Munyonyo on 14,000 shillings, right? And then you order on Safeboda and we say we can't. And you may argue if Jumia can do it, you should be able to do it, right? But there's a difference in our operations. For example, if 10 people order cookers in Munyonyo, you can get a truck and put 10 cookers. The cost of fuel is the same. So you split the cost per person. For Safeboda, if 10 people order Safebodas, it's different borders going there. So for each driver, they are incurring a cost on themselves. So that's the first thing. The second is all of you, I'm sure, have dealt with a border driver, right? They have certain perceptions, and perceptions are very, very hard to deal with. For example, fuel has increased, right? It has almost doubled since COVID. Came down just a bit. However, a driver will tell you, I want to charge 1,000 shillings per kilometer. When you go on the road and you haggle with them, they'll tell you if you're going to Ntinda from here, maybe it's 2K or 3K. But that's not 1,000 shillings per kilometer. So when you're pricing, it's very, very hard to price perceptions. That's the first. Second, all of you are from different walks of life. Some of you are employed. Some people wear suits to work. And therefore, the border driver thinks you have a lot more money. Some of you are students, so you have less. But within our app, we try and price for everyone, which means price for the lowest person. So a driver will sometimes pick you up and say, this person could have paid more. Why? They are going to Serena. They are probably going for a party or dinner. They have money in their pocket, right? They may ignore the fact that you may be a struggling startup trying to pitch a customer. So we cannot price discriminate the same way offline does. And yet that is our competition. So that's one challenge. The second one is, how many people here have iPhones? Okay, so 3, 4, 5. Okay, so the minority. Why I ask about an iPhone is we all agree that it is almost a benchmark for high quality phones, right? And then there is Tecno, Infinix, Itel, which are priced for everybody. Now, there are certain compromises that happen there. You don't have the best camera, you don't have the fastest chip, you don't have the most efficient phone. But how does that affect us? To know where you are and know where the driver is, we rely on GPS. And for example, some phones, when you go into battery saver mode, it changes. So you look like you're at Acacia Place, but you're down at Kush. And the driver comes here to pick you up. He hasn't called because he wants to see time. The moment he arrives here, you call and you say, I'm at Kush. And now you start conflicting over where the pickup point is. But it all came down to the hardware that's providing information. And we can't force everyone to have the same type of phone. In markets like US and Europe, there are quality standards. So they will set a minimum for every product coming in. And that way you tend to have an acceptable level of quality. In markets like Africa, it's the cheapest thing, right? For Comesa, for as long as it's made in China, it's allowed to come here. And if you ever develop apps, and particularly on Android, and you go a step further to start collecting feedback from the phones. So there are apps that will tell you when a crash happens on the phone, what has happened. You will most likely be frustrated because every day you will have a phone model. So for example, if there are Tecnos and there are 100, you will have like 2 or 3 that have a glitch and the rest are fine. But the number of customers telling you your app is going wrong is huge. So balancing the physical challenges. Internet, right? Some of you look at the app and whenever a driver is moving, you're checking if the guy is moving or not. For the tech guys, there's something called a WebSocket, right? Which connects client to server. So now for our business, we have client server on the customer side, which is your app and our system, and the same is on the driver side. So driver app sends information back server tells customer up, customer sees. If you lose network, for example, if someone calls you during the session, or you walk into a basement of a building, what you will see is the driver is not moving, and you're likely to cancel, right? But it is the technology that we are using, and unless we get hyper fast internet speeds that as soon as you get off the call, you reconnect, or we have Wi-Fi across the city, you can't solve that problem. You have to educate the customer that, you know what, give it a few minutes. When the internet reconnects to your phone, you will be able to see the driver. So we face structural problems for trying to make it as fast as possible to deliver a service.
Yeah. So how does Safeboda make money?
Okay.
And this question will go to Jumia. So how do you make money?
First, I'll go back to the marketplace model. You make a commission from connecting a buyer and a seller. Just like if you've ever sold land. You find the buyer, you negotiate. You find the seller, you negotiate. That's typically how Safeboda makes money, at least currently. Yes.
I'm not sure if everyone... Yeah, go ahead.
Same thing for Jumia, because again, we're a marketplace, right? So if you go and buy water at the Renzori depot and you have a shop, you're going to reach your shop. If you buy it 800, you put it on the shop, you sell it at 1,000 shillings, you earn a commission of 200, right? So same thing for us. We earn commissions of the items that are sold off the platform.
So an example is, if I have products to sell on Jumia and I sell phones,
yes,
I list these phones on jumia.ug, and then you take a certain percentage from me as a merchant.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And for Safeboda?
Yes. So Safeboda is slightly different because we also determine the price the customer pays. So Safeboda says you pay 5,000 for this trip. When the driver is receiving the 5,000, we say for giving you a customer and giving you money, we'll take a commission. So we still take a commission, but we regulate the price. So imagine Jumia, where Jumia tells you when you bring your shirts, you can't sell above a certain price. Yeah.
So how do you determine the pricing for Safeboda? Based on what? So everyone, when they use Faras or Safeboda or Uber or Bolt, right? Either you would see one price or an estimate. So Safeboda has an estimate. How do you determine 4 to 5 or 6 to 7?
Okay. So the important things are 3. One is that whenever you're traveling, there is distance. So kilometers traveled. So we set a price per kilometer. And then there is time. What we do is strike a balance between distance and time. Why? If a driver is trying to make the money very quickly, they'll ride too fast, which will make them reckless. Or if they want to increase the money, they'll drive too slow. So we balance price per kilometer and price per minute to just make sure at the end of the trip, you get a fair price. This other component is inputs. You know that when you order a Safeboda, the driver will call you. The driver will maybe be at a stage and then they have to ride to pick you up. So because there is a cost there, we set what we call a minimum fare. So for every trip, for example, on Safeboda, you will not get a trip below 2,000 shillings unless we give you a promo. And that's because we know that at 2,000 shillings, even for the shortest distance, you've compensated the driver for riding fuel to pick you up and airtime too. Things will consider. Those are the setting a price.
For us, the price for the customer?
For delivery fee.
For delivery fee. So when we set delivery fees, our customers are very sensitive to delivery fees. I'll tell you that the Jumia customer is every customer. They're buying everything. So you have people who buy groceries. You have someone buying gum, chewing gum, picky, right? And if my total bill of the things that I've bought is, say, 50,000 shillings, how likely am I going to be willing to pay 10,000 shillings or 15 on top of that for delivery? Most likely I'll say, you know what, leave it. Let me just walk to the supermarket nearby and I pick and I buy it. So for us, when we are looking at the price for shipping fees that the customers pay, we do it per category and also looks at size category, category being, is it groceries? Is it electronics? Is it fashion? What item is it? And then we look at the size of the item. Is it small? If I buy earphones that are this tiny, I shouldn't have to pay the same fees as somebody buying a fridge. So we'll look at the size and then we'll also look at the distance. Someone in Entebbe should not pay the same fee as someone in Gulu, right? And we also look at the model because the cost involved in dropping everything at one pickup station is not the same as finding everybody's individual home. So we look at what model, distance, size, category.
When you think about what happened to Jumia Food, so we know recently Jumia Food shut down a couple of months back, and I know it's part of the challenges that you faced as a business. So tell us more about the learnings that you got from Jumia Food.
So Jumia Food was operating as on demand, like Safeboda. So the same challenges you'll have as Safeboda will apply here, but now people are hungry and angry. So for Jumia Food, what was most important for us was being able to coordinate between the vendor having the food ready on time, getting the rider or the agent to pick it up on time, and then locate. Same issues you're going to have with pinned location, tech, network, and everybody needs to have network. The vendor needs to have network. The rider needs to have network. The customer needs to have network, and they must all be in a way in sync. And our tech is coordinating with the vendor app, sending back to central, sending to the rider's app, bringing back to us, sending to the customer. And yes, our customers also wanted to look at the dot of the rider has picked it up, follow us. For the closure, it was a business decision to focus on more profitable side of the business.
Okay. So for Safeboda, when you look at recently the company expanded to Kenya, right? What opportunities do you see in a new market, right? Why did you expand to Kenya? Why didn't you go to Mbarara or Mukono or Gulu?
That's a very good question. And a lot of people ask, why a new market rather than another city within Uganda? The easiest one is, how many smartphones are in Mbarara? Okay? There are very many. How many people are in Kampala? 4 million, about 4.5 million during day. The next cities that are large are, I think, Masaka and Jinja, and it's 500,000 people. Okay? That's a very, very huge difference in terms of how many people are likely to now have a smartphone. Now, remember, there are people who have a smartphone but no internet. So the person with a smartphone and internet is smaller. Okay? And we still don't control the majority of those people. So when you look at the opportunity in a new city in Uganda, it's so much smaller than going to a country like Kenya and saying in Nairobi, there are people who use ride-hailing. Okay? Secondly, Safeboda used to be there before COVID, but closed because during COVID, when the lockdown happened, no one knew when it would come back. And if you're Ugandan, you even know that borders suffered the most during the lockdown. So paying salaries when you can't generate that revenue was not a wise decision to have if you don't know how long it's going to happen. However, in Nairobi, when Safeboda left, the companies that stayed did not go on to take those customers. So the market remained untapped. So it was, okay, the quickest thing is go back where people know you and no one has replaced your industry. So go back and capture that market share. The second is the number of trips. So in Kampala, most of us don't take Uber trips. Okay, you're on a border, you're in a taxi, or if you can afford a car, you're trying as much as possible to drive your car. In Nairobi, it's quite different. The culture is very different. The city is larger, has a lot of traffic jam, and most of the parking is paid for. So imagine even parking here at work, you must pay. And so there is a huge market for people just ordering a car to get where they are going. And for comparison, what we pay on average for a border trip is what people pay on average for a car trip. So the same person who affords a border here can afford a car in Nairobi. The difference is they go for the very, very small cars and short distances. So we did see a large opportunity to join the market and compete there rather than in Uganda, you have to develop the market. So just like when Safeboda started, you get a driver, you give him a smartphone on loan. Then you train them, then you teach them that you have to buy a data bundle every day. So there's a huge learning curve there, and we didn't have the resources to start that market.
Briefly, tell us about the challenges that you're facing now in Nairobi.
So there are quite a number. People forget you, isn't it? All of you have dated before. Imagine leaving your ex, you ghost her, then you come back, or him, and you come back and expect a warm welcome. So we are struggling with that. The customers who are happy that we are there are not yet happy to pay for the service. On the driver side, the economy has changed greatly since then. So drivers who previously could afford to buy a quality helmet for cash no longer have that money. So now they want you to lend them, and there are many. And when we were expanding there, we thought of a very small budget, focus on marketing, not lending a driver, because that's a very different business. The other thing is now Nairobi has very many ride-hailing companies. So for certain drivers, there is fatigue in having just another app. Now I have to manage 5 apps. If you've done more than one job, there is that point where even if the second job is paying, you say, let me focus on one, particularly for our car drivers. Yeah, so that's, I think, high level. Those are some of the challenges we are facing.
So, Sheila, when you look at the opportunities overall in terms of logistics and overall delivering stuff, right, for the startup environment, like the opportunities for startups and logistics, where do you see the opportunity in Kampala, Uganda overall? Is there an opportunity for, let's say, a software engineer today to develop a solution and then make it big?
I'd like to look at Uganda's demographics. If you look at the age demographics of the Ugandan population, Kampala, you find that about 75% of the Uganda's population today is between the ages of 35 and below. Now, what does that say? We have a young generation that is very used to things faster. I like to call them the microwave generation. Why? We want things faster with less effort, right? And the way we are working and going, we don't have the time or the luxury that you can walk all day long all over Kampala trying to find what you want. That's one of the reasons why Safeboda will be so successful now. Because people need to get to where they're going faster. And traffic jam just ain't working for us anymore. So if you're going to be in the logistics space, now is the time. And Uganda needs to catch up with Kenya. Because Kenya logistics is much more developed. If I go to Kenya now and I'm looking for ride-hailing companies in Kenya, they're much more than in Uganda. If I go to Kenya and I'm looking for a transporter who's professional, I have an endless list. When I come to Uganda, we are right next door neighbors and people expect the same, but we are very different. In Uganda, the people who do logistics are not your typically educated person. I'm a guy, I'm a business person, I have done business here and there. I get a loan, I buy a truck, I go downtown to Arua Park and I sit and wait for business. Now imagine you have Jumias coming into the world today. I'm looking for people to partner with to deliver my products. But the person is telling me, madam, for me, you pay me 150K. Why? He doesn't know. Distance, he doesn't know. You're talking about CBM space, he doesn't know. You're talking about tonnage, he doesn't know. You're talking about time, same discussion you're having with a border rider, he doesn't understand. He's telling you, madam, I paid loan 10 million. Every day, I need 150K. Your mathematics is too much.
Do you think there is an opportunity for startups to be in the logistics space today in Kampala?
And I think there are quite a number of opportunities. The first that shockingly most people never think about is addressing. Addresses. So today, if you go on Google, finding the road to your home, the Google road may have a number, not a name, right? Or KCCA has put a label which the people in the area do not know. So addressing, because for all these companies that are struggling with deliveries, it's finding where the customer is. Okay? In Morocco, there was a company, I think they were called Pin Drop, where they were just created an addressing system for people, and people could reference, even if in that area, the most popular place was a mango tree. It was the mango tree in that area, and so on Google Maps, you could search for that reference, and it was a paid-for service. Second, we're in Africa's talking. What is their core business? APIs. Okay? APIs for my business people is really just a broker, a digital broker for services in the easiest way. So, for example, Safeboda has figured out how to manage a certain group of drivers. Jumia has created a marketplace. But what does everyone have in common? There is that merchant who doesn't quite understand how to provide a service to you. So in Kenya, there is a company that has just opened a startup called ShipSharp. So ShipSharp are trying to also do an API for logistics. So Jumia can work with its merchants and customers. Once you click deliver, then you get out of Jumia. You now go to ShipSharp. ShipSharp collects your information and tries to get the right driver for you, which if you're Jumia and you have the resources, you can try and build in-house. But if you're a smaller player, or for some marketplaces, they are specialized. You're either just dealing in agricultural goods or something, and you need specialized delivery. Startups that find that solution will have money, will stay relevant in the marketplace today. Because Sheila mentioned, there are people, currently it's just people doing it. There's someone picking up a phone, you're saying, oyagala container, ojagala wa, and then they are figuring it out. So unless miraculously the parents of that person produce identical children, you can't replicate that skill. You need a system to replicate that skill and knowledge. And I think for me, the third, which is the most obvious, is micro fleet management. Okay? In some markets, especially the US, there is push for drivers to become employees of companies, either the ride-hailing company or whoever is providing the service. Okay? But still, we can't get one size to fit all. So just having your fleet of 10 drivers who work a certain way, and then you go to Jumia and say, I want to be a third-party contractor and delivering that service while you figure out how to manage your drivers. So for me, I think those are the quickest opportunities for startups to take today. The last one, possibly, there were some startups that talked about AI if you can figure out how to do price discrimination, because 5 kilometers in Kawempe, the price is not the same as 5 kilometers in Munyonyo. But all you can only achieve that by understanding customer behavior. Yeah.
Because again, finding my home with a mango tree, I'm the only one who knows the mango tree. Yes. Or the boda stage. So when the guy comes and all the bodas have left, there's no stage.
So let's say I'm a startup. I'm looking to do a partnership with Jumia, either to be a third-party logistics or do something around merchants, like anything with Jumia, right? Especially in terms of what you do in terms of logistics. What would you look at?
For us, the most important is that you have the right documentation, right? Secondly, you need to be able to...
Can you explain more what you mean by documentation?
You should be properly registered, because that's important. For any business, you want to have the legal documentation right. Registered, have a TIN, have to operate. And if you're going to go into, for us, logistics, you need to have licensing for courier. Any other, you need to have whichever legal documentation you need for which area. Secondly is understanding our business, being able to be flexible and understand, because the tech space changes a lot. Startups, we change the needs of the customers. You must continuously be agile. When Jumia started, I don't think the big goal was to get to Kitgum. And getting there in 7 days was acceptable. Today, the person in Kitgum is expecting almost same-day delivery as the one in Kampala. So being that type of person who's flexible and can grow, understand the business and adapt.
If you call yourself a business, but you have less documentation than a shop in Chikubo, then you're not a business, right? A shop in Chikubo, if it's Mama Tendos, at URSB they are Mama Tendos. So you have to do the minimum in terms of recommendation. You can't be the startup. I am the startup because I exist. It has to exist as a business, because when you're operating with another business, I'm not signing a contract with you. I'm signing a contract with a business which, if we disagree, we can go to court as businesses, not as people. Second, again, understand what you're doing. A lot of the times, I happen to engage with people with startups, and sometimes I have to define their business for them. And if you don't know what your business is, how are you going to deliver value to a partner? You'll end up having friction because you've not understood what your service is and how you're going to improve the partner. And the third is, don't have excuses. If there is a problem in the business, let it be the money. Try to have your processes right. If you have one person, have the best person you can have for your resources, but not the excuse that, give me the business, I'll figure things out later. Why? Because there's what they call reputational risk. When you deliver for Jumia, it's Jumia's reputation, not you. So you will fail at reputational risk if you're not willing to invest what you want another person to give you.
Okay. I just have 2 questions, and then we'll get some questions from the audience. So if someone is planning to start a marketplace today, what should they do differently to compete with Jumia?
I think the thing about a marketplace is always about knowing your market and knowing what it is you're going to deliver and how you're going to deliver it. Because there are different market spaces that exist today for different markets or different customers, if I may say. Today, Jumia, we focus on final consumers mostly. You and me, right? The one who's going to drink the sugar. There is Chikubo Online that is focusing on businesses. There's Kiosk that also is focusing on businesses. Anybody heard about Kiosk? K-Y-O-S-K. They're also in the same marketplace. There is Gigi that operates completely different, right? They are saying us, we are providing a platform for you guys to sort yourselves out. If the guy is a fake dealer, it's up to you, right? So understand how, like he said, what business are you going into? Who is your target market? How do you want to present yourself as a business? What services do you want to offer? What will you not get into? If you're starting today and you are a startup, you're 2 people in the business, and you want to deliver up to Gulu and serve 1 million customers in a week, and also handle the logistics and handle the packaging and handle everything, guaranteed you're going to crash. So you need to look at what resources you have, what market are you going into, who's the customer you're targeting, what are your strengths. And you don't have to just look at your strengths alone. Consider using partnerships, right? I can't deliver, but I can use Safeboda. In fact, if I am a one-man show, what I should do is go and look at Safeboda and decide every time somebody orders, I order a Safeboda. Because then I don't have to figure out I don't have to go through looking for the stress of Safeboda is going to go find the person, check where they live, lend them a phone, train them. I don't have to do all that because as a young startup, I don't have that time. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the knowledge. So partnerships are very important. Don't try to do it alone, right? Make strategic partnerships and don't try to do everything. Okay? You don't want to be the business. You're starting today. You've seen Safeboda works. I try some Safeboda. I put in some mix of Gigi. I put in a mix of Jumia. I put in a mix of, I don't know what else. Then I try the rides for campuses as well. Just everything in there. Don't do it. Find a niche market, understand it, go in there, use partnerships.
Question. I'll use one from personal experience. If you can't sell a product for money on day one, you will never sell it. A lot of people think give away in the beginning. Sometime down the road when you have 1,000 people you've given, they'll come back and buy. That will never happen. So much that when we launched our fintech, we told people we are giving you cashbacks and people transacted. So we figured let's charge 1 shilling. Between 0 and 1 shilling were customers dropping off and opting for platforms to pay more. Okay? So the true definition of value for money. Okay? So how people appreciate your product is when they pay for it. Think about a flyer. When someone forces you to take a flyer, you just accept it and then you fold it and drop it in a bin. If they asked you to pay for that flyer, you're going to ask what's the value of the flyer. So when you charge on day 0, people will give you feedback. If you don't have value, they will not pay. And you keep working on it until someone is willing to pay your service. So for me, that's the first piece of advice. The second is your competition has 2 parts to it. There's what they've been and the challenges they've been facing, and then there are challenges they are going to face. Kind of like you. At this point in time, you're at least thinking about next week, next month, next year, right? But there's also where you've come from. And there's a person who thinks, if I can be you today, I'll have a better life. They don't see the challenges you're facing now and are planning for in the future. So even when you say, I want to be the next Jumia or the next Safeboda, understand what challenges they faced and why and what they are facing now. Because, there's a point where Nokia was the biggest for now. So if you are a phone manufacturer, you would say, I just have to be Nokia. And then life changed. So it can happen to any business.
My question is, how is Safeboda using technology to ensure the safety of the border guys? Remember, they face that challenge of beating them up, taking their motorbikes and stuff, and also to ensure the safety of us, the users.
I think a big part is around financial management for a startup. So how do you manage finances for a startup?
Okay, so first, spend only when you have to, right? A lot of people invest in offices because startup spaces need to look cool, right? You're all trying to be like Google. But that money there could be a salary for an employee. If you're a tech company, it's 1 month on AWS, right? So every shilling that you put where your business is not generating money as a startup, especially in the beginning, is a shilling lost. So try as much as possible not to spend.
So if you have now an amazing idea around APIs, addresses that you think can go $2 billion or like be the next big thing, would you take a loan to start it up?
Okay, I'll say yes and no. Yes, if for your logistics company, you need to buy a truck. Okay, for example, if that's the input you need. However, there are models. You can actually lease a truck. So instead of taking a loan, you pay at the end or at least every month. So taking a loan really only helps businesses if you want to take on Jumia Global. For example, you want to buy products because no one is going to give it to you on credit. But if you take a loan to pay salaries, if you take a loan to start an office, you're not going to generate that money. So in that context, I would say no.
Just a little bit about his partners, because he was asking about how do you identify the partners that you work with. I think one thing that I'll pick on is values. It's the thing we never think about. We think the guy has money, he'll give it to me, we will work. But you need to make sure that your values, your goals are aligned with your partner. Because if Safeboda wants to be a tech company and me, I want to partner with him, but I don't understand tech, I don't think tech is important, we're going to clash. Because he will want to spend money on tech, and I'll say that's a waste of money, let's buy Bodas. Right? So that's for how you identify a person. Don't just go for money. Look at the values, even the values of the person and the reputation they have. Okay? When it goes to should I borrow, I believe in logistics. One thing I recommend if you're doing startup, asset light. He touched it a bit. I don't want to get all this money and go and buy one truck that is going to carry a 40-ton. Tomorrow I get a customer who's asking for a 20-ton. What do? I go back and get another loan? No. So in the beginning, you want to be as asset light as possible. Look at leasing, look at building relationships with people. So I might not get a partner who is giving me money, but I get the people who understand my business and they give me the assets. So they are earning as I earn. And then as I go to the customer, I am asking for, instead of 100% on delivery, give me 50% and 50% on delivery. So then you're getting the cash flow that you need to also pay the person that you're working with. And when you do that, make sure you're checking the integrity of that person. Yeah? Asset light as much as possible. There are so many leasing options today. So many.
So early on,
asset light.
Startup, don't take a loan.
Don't take a loan.
Only if it's like for capital or something like.
Even capital, use asset light. Please.
Let's talk about pricing a bit. I think it's important. Why don't you price? And I think Safeboda covered thought about so many things around pricing, monthly fee or weekly fee or whatever. Can you tell us more about your pricing and what maybe other strategies you thought about or you did in the past around pricing?
So that's the question on why are we taking on the issues of delivering, and then why don't we just put one price and everybody pays that? Because again, our customers are different. Our customers are different, our vendors are different. And we must balance everybody. And we also have a middle partner who's doing deliveries. When I go to the road, I will not pay the same price from here to Acacia Mall as someone going to Mutungu. So you can't always have one size fits all when it comes to pricing. And that's why he talked about AI that helps in pricing. I think that would be a game changer in all our ecosystems. Because when I put a price, when you look at Gigi today, when you order an item, it doesn't tell you how long you're going to collect it at. It doesn't necessarily guarantee delivery fees. There's so much that is ambiguous, right? But when you go to Jumia, depending on where you are, you know all your costs involved. You have so many pictures, you have feedback. I can control that because I know who will deliver and I will check what I deliver to you.
Sheila, someone asked about why don't you have more pickup stations? So you said you have 80 or around
80. Yeah.
Okay. Let's say 100. Why don't you have 200?
Why don't I have 200?
Yeah.
One, when we look at where we position pickup stations, we look at cities. For example, we asked why isn't Safeboda moving to deliver in Imbara as opposed to going to Nairobi? So we also look at the concentration of our people. It goes to the same dynamics of our population. You have 4 million people here and 300,000 people in Footput. Okay? So if I put a pickup station in Wandegea, which has 1,000 people, there's no guarantee all those 1,000 people are going to buy from Jumia and come pick it up. So what we try to do is get as close as possible. However, in this year, you will see growth in our pickup stations because our strategy has been to grow up country in the previous years. This year, we will be doing a little more expansion on pickup stations within Kampala. We didn't have so many pickup stations in Kampala because we offer door delivery. Whereas upcountry, it's only pickup station.
So it's mostly in Kampala about density.
Yes, it goes to everywhere. It's about density.
Okay.
Because even in the cities upcountry we have one pickup station in the center.
Okay. There is a question about how to stay relevant. I think I need both of you probably to cover it just briefly, and then we'll have 2 more questions.
I mean, first, ask your customers why they use you. If you are a trend, then you know trends end. If you are a consumer good, right? I don't know if any of you knows Chapa Mandash. So people have talked about how these guys do not reinvent themselves. They refuse to move from a Kavera, which is just noted. They don't even air seal, and then they just throw it in the box. And their response was their customer, as soon as they get the product, they open and pour and discard. So the relevant thing in that product is what is inside that Kavera. And they knew for as long as that is good and priced well, the customer will buy it. So talk to your customer. They will give you that feedback. If you're a startup, talk to your potential customer. Will they use you? How often will they use you? Yeah.
So talk to the customer. And something else around safety and quality. I'll just merge the questions. So the lady here asked about how do you ensure safety of drivers and passengers, but talk to us more about safety plus quality because you deal a lot with quality issues as well. So yeah, tell us more about how you deal with the safety, quality.
The driver must wear a helmet, must wear a reflector. And for the customer, we provide the helmet and the reflector with the driver. However, most people do not use it. And we can't force you. At the point, it's kind of like someone telling you, if you enter this building, you need to wear a helmet. But the choice is up to you. The second step is we track both the customer and the driver. It allows us to know the speed at which the driver and customer are going. We have the planned routes. And so we can see when a driver deviates from a route. So sometimes you will call and say, the trip cost more because we are going to Nakawa, but the driver used the longer distance. We are able to see that. The difficult thing is about thieves. We don't know where and at what time the thief is on the road. It would be nice if police had hotspots, some sort of application where in your system you see orders around here usually from thieves. But we assume the order is from the customer. The reason for that is when you join our platform, you give us a phone number, right? And then we track you. And we also get the device you're using. So if there was a need to look for you, whether you're a driver or a customer, your device ID, if you throw away a SIM card, every telco has your device ID. If you keep the SIM card, every telco can track you. So having sufficient information. Last year, we even threw something on top, which was insurance for insured rides. So why did we do that? If you get into a car accident, typically you're supposed to call police. They come to the scene and using a piece of paper, draw the scene of the accident, take a report to an insurer and debate who was right and who was wrong. What we then did is agree with an insurer that an accident is an unfortunate event. If we can verify that it happened, then please pay out. And so what happens when you order a plus trip, we are tracking the whole journey. When an accident happens, the first thing is you stop moving. The bike will stop moving. When an accident happens, the first thing is you stop moving. The bike will stop moving. When you heal, on a phone call, we ask where did the accident happen? You will say around Akasha. We check the system, the GPS coordinates are around Akasha, and then we go ahead and pay out. So instead of having people visit a site, we are relying on the tech to verify your story. Yeah.
How do you maintain quality?
For us, I'll look at it in two ways. I talked about Jumia Express, items that we have, and those that are dropped off. So when you go on the site, you will see something like verified. You will have official store. You will have warranty. There are certain tags that you look out for. All that's involved because we are working with so many vendors dropping off. It's a marketplace. What we do is that we do a quality check at drop-off. Now we have agents who will check and see. On the website, you said this is it's a silver watch. It is a Casio. They'll check, is it silver? Is it Casio? Does the image match what I see you have put? Because online shopping is virtual, right? It's what I see that attracted me. So does it match the image that is on the site? Is it a blender or it is a shoe? Those quality checks. We do that at when they're shipping, when the vendor is dropping it off. We have some vendors who, thankfully to our tech and adjustments that we've made over last year, if we have a vendor who has a good rating, and rating looks at customer ratings, and I ask kindly that every time you order on Jumia, rate the service, rate the product, rate the agent who delivered to you or the pickup station you picked it up from, rate, because it helps us and it helps the next customer. So based on the ratings, based on the return history, the vendor's performance, we have vendors who don't go through quality check because they have almost 100%. So those we know, they do their own self-check and they ship on their own. So that's how we do the check.
Is there an opportunity for people to visit the
vendor drop-off?
Yeah, exactly. And then the whole warehouse.
The warehouse, yes, it would have to be arranged through.
Yeah. So are you willing to get?
It can be arranged through head office.
Can be arranged. So what are the opportunities for students at Safeboda and Juliet?
It's quite wide.
Can you take interns now?
At the moment, no.
Okay.
But I would say whether you're in customer service, training, tech, fintech, the opportunities are available. We're a very flexible company, so much that you can come in as a customer success person and end up in tech support or the reverse. So it's just about being flexible enough to be taught. Yeah. Okay.
So can someone reach out to you and is there an opportunity for students now in the next month or two?
Right at the moment?
Yeah, or in the next
Right at the moment,
Yeah.
No,
Or the
but
next
we do take on interns in cycles. Huh? So currently we don't have a cycle running, but yes, we do take on interns, and we usually advertise for interns. So always reach out. You can always reach out to us. Again, like Safeboda, Jumia is very dynamic. We take on people from, you can start out in the warehouse fulfilling orders, what we call pick, packing, and shipping. And then tomorrow end up being in marketing or commercial or any other space. Yeah.
How can people reach out to you?
Yes. I guess for me, phone 0783 071 172. There's a caveat. I don't take calls in the evening. I don't take calls when I'm in meetings.
Just text them on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Text this on WhatsApp. It would be fine. Is willing to help Sheila.
Phone?
On as well.
I'm a logistics person. We're always on the phone.
What's your WhatsApp number?
0783 879 175.
Guys, you got it?
0783 879 175.
Okay.
I also don't take calls at night.
Text on WhatsApp.
Text on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Anytime. Just text on WhatsApp.
Nice. So text on WhatsApp. I will always see it.
Guys, just a tip. When you reach out on WhatsApp, introduce yourself. Where did you meet?
Yeah.
And be specific on what you want. Yeah. Okay. How does Safeboda
There are
work?
two elements of our business that are powered by Africa is talking. First, airtime. So you can buy airtime on the Safeboda app. So that goes through Africa is talking. And then when any user logs into the Safeboda app, there is a verification of your phone number. So an SMS is sent via Africa is talking to your phone number so that we know you have access to that number. So authentication. Yeah.
And then, thank you so much.